taught to Parmesan that the being drew a circle, and the circle would represent the center, and that would represent the observer, or called the dense. And all else around that point is from the universe. But the universe, or the observable universe as you refer to it is at the edge. And the furthest from the universe, that would be our colored stars. So when we say that you're the God of the universe, you would have to take control for all of the things that's taking place in your life. And we falsely are under the impression that we have to go to an outside force to be able to find that. That is not the case. Now, I'm saying that because we want to get into a series of, in these study classes, the Patrak, the way, so we can comprehend those as well as the actual facts. This one in particular, we want to deal with dimensional shift. That's one of the latest ones that has been revealed for us. And we want to go through just a few of the verses here, and we want to be able to pick those, each one of the verses apart, and we're going to cross-reference to other material that he has given us so far. The dimensional shift. 1. Likum. Many beings have been coming to this planet for many, many Earth years. And according to some of the ancient records, tell us the important role that two groups played. Our concept of God, we don't see them as extraterrestrials. And when we have to break down various stories of the monotheistic belief to get us to so that we're able to comprehend Wu-Nuwaup, that we have to be able to understand the many different beings, many different extraterrestrials that have come in here for different reasons, and they've played themselves off as God to create a religion. Ultimately, and I know this sounds weird, ultimately to eat you as humans. But going on to verse 5. Also called by other names by others in their own tongues. From them, way of life and religions were born, fact and faith. So the real doctrines, or the real occurrences that took place eventually became a belief system. It gave birth to religion. And this is what we have to be able to break, the mindset, to this very day. That's what Wu-Nuwaup is all about. So beings from star systems came back and forth to this planet for their own reasons. Some to hunt, as you see in The Predators, and these are movies that are being made for these occurrences that actually happen. Others to prospect for resources. Movies have been made about beings coming there for the earth for that reason. And some for food, and others for pleasure and vacation. Now, it was 17,250,000 years ago. That is exactly 19 million years ago. Now, it appears to be a contradiction there, because how can 17,250,000 years ago be 19 million years ago? And that is in referencing time. When our ancient Etherians came to create the planet, or reform or terraform the earth. And this story is in the Sumerian tablets that was eventually copied into the Torah. And in the beginning, when God created the heaven and the earth, most of us are familiar with that first passage in the Torah, the Bible. That was the reformation of the solar system, this particular solar system. So it was crashed into 24 billion years ago, and then it was reformulated. So at the period of Nun-Nunet, and then there's another period of time of Hachihet, where the planets were put into a position where the motion was created. In the non-mind doctrine of Wu-Nuwaup, the master explains it to us this way. He explains that the science behind the number 9, or when we refer to the non-ball, it's referring to the planet Earth from the outside in. One of the things that you'll find interesting, nobody else is teaching this. People will say that he's getting it from other places, but nobody else is teaching this right here, is that when we start looking at the 3 nines that relates to us, the first 9 will be in relationship to the sun. And if you was to take the sun's diameter, which would be 864,000 miles. And you would take 8 plus 6 plus 4, that would give you 18. And 1 plus 8 is 9. So that would give you 19. If you also were to take the radius of the sun, which would be 432,000 miles, then you would add up 4 plus 3 plus 2, that equals 9. That's another 9. As well as the temperature. The temperature being 27 million degrees equaling Fahrenheit. And at 2 plus 7, that would give you 9. We're dealing with a non-mind now. And what is the non-mind? It's concerned with the teaching out information to the beings and giving us a greater mental understanding of our overall surroundings. So another 9 would be if we was to take the diameter of the earth. And that changes because it varies. It's a living entity, it expands and then it contracts. But it ranges from 7,920 miles. If you take the 7 plus 9 plus 2, that will give you 18. And then again, 1 and 8 equals 9. If you was to take the diameter of the moon, which was at one point was a part of the sun, 2,160. And that's miles. You add the 2 plus 1 plus the 6, that gives you a 9. So 9 is constant in the universe. And that's the science behind the 9 ball. Even if you was to take all the planets that have been displaced since that time frame, if you take Mercury, if you just take, which would be 36 million miles from the sun. You take Saturn, 886 million miles. You take Venus, 67 million miles. Uranus, 1,762,000. Earth, 93 million miles from the sun. If you was to add each one of the planets in their distance, you'd come back up to 9. That's the non-mind doctrine. Remember where you heard it from first. From Parmesan's daughter, Wu-Nuwaup Re Akpata Zetwi. So let's get back to a dimensional shift. We were in verse 9 where it says it was 17,250,000 years ago. That is exactly 19 million years ago that the spirit forces of Lawitananu, Leviathan, called Alelu, and his beings, who were part of the Federation and were cast out from Pal-Re, the sun, and members and throughout the multiverses. We're going to take this and we're going to continue in another study session later on. So understand this message. Then, now, then, when, now, when. There, here, there, outside, inside, outside are you. Wu-Nuwaup.